Alright, if you're getting ready for your WAEC, JAMB, or NECO exams, then you've come to the right place. In this explainer, we are about to totally nail progressions, a topic that always pops up on those papers, and we're going to make sure you're ready for any question they can throw at you. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to break down what progressions even are. Then, we'll dive into the two main types you face. After that, we'll apply all that knowledge to real exam questions, and we'll finish up with a quick summary of the key formulas you absolutely need to know. So first things first, before we can start solving all these problems, we've got to be super clear on what a progression actually is, right? This is the foundation for everything else. Here's the big idea. A progression isn't just some random jumble of numbers. No. It's a sequence, a list of numbers that follows a really clear, predictable rule. And once you spot that rule, you can figure out any number in that list, no matter how far down the line it is. For your exams, you really only need to worry about two main types. You've got your arithmetic progression, or AP, that's where you're always adding the same number. Then there's the geometric progression, GP, where you're always multiplying. Seriously, that's the core difference. Add for AP, multiply for GP. Got it? Okay, let's dive into the first type, arithmetic progressions. Just think, addition, these are usually the most straightforward questions you're going to find on your exam. You know, the secret weapon for any AP problem is finding what we call the common difference. We just use the letter D for that. It's simply the number you add to get from one term to the next. So if you have a sequence like 2, then 5, then 8, well, the common difference is just 3. Okay. Whoa, don't let all this math speak on the slide freak you out, seriously. We only need to focus on two key formulas for AP. See that top one? That's how you find any specific term in the list. The ones at the bottom are for finding the sum of a whole bunch of terms. We'll use one of those in just a bit. Okay, let's actually use that formula. Say we have the sequence 3, 7, 11, 15, and so on. Right away, we know the first term A is 3. And the common difference D, well, that's just 7 minus 3, which is 4. Now we just plug those numbers right into our formula to find the 10th term. And boom, when you work that out, you get 39. See, it's not so bad. Once you know the formula, it's just a simple process. Alright, time to tackle our second type, the geometric progression, or GP. Now if AP was all about adding, GP is all about multiplying. And trust me, that means these numbers can get huge really, really fast. So instead of a common difference, GPs have a common ratio, and we call that R. This is the number you multiply each term by to get the next one. So in a sequence like 2, 6, 18, what are we doing each time? We are multiplying by 3, so the common ratio is 3. And hey, just like with AP, we've got a couple of must-know formulas for GP. The first one helps you find any term. The next two are for finding the sum. Now listen up, because this is super important. You have to use a different sum formula depending on your common ratio R. If R is a fraction, something less than 1, you use 1. If it's bigger than 1, you use the other. A lot of people mess this up on exams, so don't let that be you. So if you were to use that formula on a sequence like 4, 12, 36, to find the fifth term, you'd end up with 3, 24. It just goes to show you the power of GP. The numbers just explode exponentially. Okay, Siri time is over. Now for the part that really matters. Let's use what we've learned on actual past questions from WAEC, JAMB, and NECO. This is where you really start to feel like you've got this. Check this out, a perfect example from a real WAEC paper. It's a theory question, which means showing your steps, your walking, is just as important as the final answer. They're asking for the sum of an AP. We can do this. Okay, let's break this down together. First, we pull out the important bits. The first term A is 5. The common difference D is just 8 minus 5, so that's 3. And we want the sum of the first 8 terms, so our N is 8. Now it's just plug and play. We take those 3 numbers and pop them right into our sum formula for an AP, just like you see here. And when all the math is done, we get our final answer, 124. For a what question, showing your work exactly like this, that's how you get every single mark. Beautiful. Alright, let's switch gears and look at a JAMB question. Now these are usually multiple choice, so it's all about being fast and accurate. This time they want the sum of a GP. You know, the process is pretty much the same. We are just using the GP formulas now. First, find your variables. A is 3. The common ratio I is 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Now, since I is bigger than 1, we know exactly which sum formula to grab. We plug in the numbers and solve it. And that calculation gives us 93. For JAMB, you do this work on your scratch paper, and then just pick the right option. Getting quick at this process is what's going to save you so much time. Okay, let's bring it all home with a final review and some killer tips to make sure all this information is locked in for exam day. Think of this as your personal cheat sheet for success. And here we have it side by side, AP on the left, GP on the right. If there's one thing you burn into your brain, it's this fundamental difference. AP is built on a common difference. GP is built on a common ratio A. Whatever you do, don't mix those two up in the exam hall. And here are a few final tips. For WAEC, you have to be meticulous, show all your work. For JAMB, it's all about speed, so practice shortcuts. And for NECO, be ready for anything. They might even mix AP and GP in one question. And a huge warning. Always double check how you calculate R in a GP, especially if there are negative numbers. That's the number one spot where people make easy mistakes. And that's a wrap on progressions. We've gone through the ideas, the formulas, and how to use them on real exam questions. You seriously have all the tools you need now. Just get your hands on some more past questions, practice these steps, and you are going to be more than ready. Good luck.